Let me ask you something uncomfortable, and I really want you to think about what I'm about to say. If Instagram really showed you what wealth looks like, then why are the loudest people flexing and the richest people invisible? Think about it. The people flashing cars, watches, vacations, champagne, they're always performing wealth. But the people who actually have money, they don't post it. They don't explain it. They don't need you to know. Because real wealth doesn't scream, it whispers. And if you stay till the end of this video, I'm literally going to show you 10 subtle wealth signals you will never see on Instagram. But once you notice them in real life, you'll never unsee them again. So let's start with the one that exposes almost everyone. Wealth signal number 1, they're never in a rush, even when everyone else is. Alright, look, I need to address something real quick, so pay attention, because here's the first thing nobody tells you about real wealth. Wealth moves slowly. Poverty rushes. Watch people closely. People without money, always rushing, always stressed, always reacting, always late, always juggling 10 emergencies at once. Everything feels urgent. Everything feels like a fire. Now contrast that with quietly wealthy people. They take their time. Speak slowly. Pause before answering. Don't explain themselves. Don't panic when plans change. They move like someone who knows they're not running out of anything. Because here's the truth. Most people miss. Urgency is usually a liquidity problem. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, everything feels urgent. Rent is due. Bills are stacking. Car payment is looming. One surprise expense equals chaos. So you rush, you react, you scramble. But when you have assets, margin, and buffers, time bends. Missed opportunity, another one will come. Bad month, doesn't threaten your survival. Late flight, annoying, not catastrophic. Quiet wealth shows up as emotional calm under mild inconvenience. Instagram will never show you this. There's no filter for financial breathing room, but once you notice it, you'll realize how many successful people are actually one bad week away from panic. And if you think calmness is impressive, wait until you see how wealthy people handle decisions. Because the next signal exposes why most people stay stuck, even while doing everything right. Wealth signal number 2. They say no, easily and without explaining. This one messes with people, because we've been trained to think that successful people are busy. Booked, always available, always networking, always on the grind. That's Instagram wealth. Real wealth, selective disappearance. Quietly wealthy people say no like it's nothing. No guilt, no excuses, no long explanations, just, that doesn't work for me. And then silence. Here's why this matters. People without money are trained to say yes because they need opportunities. They need approval. They need access. They're afraid of missing out. Saying yes feels like survival. But once you have leverage, once income isn't tied directly to your presence, once you're not trading hours for dollars, time becomes the most protected asset. So wealthy people don't attend everything. Don't chase every opportunity. Don't justify their boundaries. Don't argue their no. They understand something most people never learn. Every yes is a hidden cost. Yes to a meeting equals no to deep work. Yes to a favor equals no to rest. Yes to noise equals no to compounding. Instagram glorifies being busy. Real wealth glorifies being unavailable. And here's the uncomfortable part. If someone can't say no, they don't control their time. And if you don't control your time, you don't control your money. Now let's go deeper. Because the next signal isn't about behavior, it's about what they don't react to. And once you see this, Instagram starts looking like a comedy sketch. Wealth signal number 3. They're emotionally bored by status symbols. Here's a fun test. Watch how someone reacts to luxury cars, designer clothes, flashy gadgets, overpriced restaurants. People without money, eyes light up, energy spikes, emotions rise. People with money, neutral, not impressed, not jealous, not reactive. Because once you've crossed a certain financial threshold, status symbols lose their dopamine hit. Here's why. Status symbols exist to signal wealth, but when you actually have wealth, you don't need signals. That dopamine rush from a luxury purchase, that's novelty plus insecurity mixed together. Quietly wealthy people already know. They can buy it if they want. They don't need it to feel validated. It doesn't change their life trajectory. So they optimize for comfort over flash, reliability over trend, longevity over flex. So what do I mean by this? Well, basically, it goes like this. They'll wear the same jacket for years, drive the same car long after it's paid off, use tools that just work, not because they're cheap, but because they're indifferent. Instagram shows obsession with things. Wealth shows detachment from them. And once you reach that level of indifference, congratulations. You're finally buying from abundance, not insecurity. Now, before I continue, most people will watch this video and don't apply anything I'm telling you. And it's not just this video, we've created an entire playlist to help you fully understand how to build generational wealth. Make sure to subscribe to the Stealth Wealth channel to always stay updated. But anyways, now here's where things get really uncomfortable. because the next signal exposes why some people look behind, yet are quietly pulling away from everyone else. Number 4, they delay visible success longer than feels comfortable. This one separates adults from performers. Quietly wealthy people are late bloomers on purpose. Not because they're behind, not because they lack ambition, but because they understand something Instagram doesn't. Visibility too early is expensive. And this is what I'll explain to you, so listen closely. Most people rush to look successful. Nice car before investments, big apartment before savings, lifestyle upgrades before income stability, vacations before leverage. Why? Because looking successful feels like progress. But wealthy people reverse the order. They delay the house upgrade, the car flex, the lifestyle jump, the I made it moment, and instead they build quietly. Here's the brutal truth. Early lifestyle upgrades lock you into a fragile future. They increase fixed costs. They reduce flexibility. They force you to keep earning at the same pace forever. Quiet wealth does the opposite. They keep their expenses boring while their balance sheet grows aggressive. So from the outside, they look behind. Same car, same clothes, same routine. But underneath, assets compounding, optionality increasing, stress decreasing. Instagram will never celebrate delayed gratification. It can't monetize patience, but real wealth is built by people who are willing to look average longer than everyone else. And if delaying gratification sounds hard, wait until you see what wealthy people actually get excited about spending money on, because it's not what you think. Wealth signal number 5. Their exciting purchases look boring to everyone else. This one confuses people because wealthy people do spend money. They just don't spend it where Instagram points. They get excited about things like lower insurance premiums, better tax structures, reliable vehicles, quality tools, time-saving systems, reduced monthly obligations. You know, stuff that makes life easier, not flashier. Here's the mindset shift. People chasing status buy things that impress strangers. Wealthy people buy things that remove friction. A flashy car gives attention. A paid-off car gives peace. A luxury apartment gives likes. A modest place with low overhead gives leverage. A viral vacation gives content. A boring emergency fund gives sleep. Quiet wealth optimizes for predictability, control, longevity, reduced downside. That's why wealthy people love boring purchases. I'm talking things like index funds, real estate cash flow, quality appliances, legal structures, redundancy, because boring compounds. Instagram hates boring. But boring pays dividends. Now let's go psychological, because the next signal has nothing to do with money directly, and everything to do with how wealthy people think about the future. Wealth signal number 6. They almost never talk about their goals. Here's the part that really messes with people. Quietly, wealthy people don't walk around saying things like, "I'm grinding toward my goals. I'm manifesting abundance. Big things coming soon." Not because they lack ambition, but because talking about goals feels productive without actually producing anything. There's real psychology behind this. When you talk about a goal publicly, your brain releases a small hit of dopamine, the same chemical you'd get from making progress. So now your brain feels rewarded, even though nothing happened. That's why people who talk the most about their goals often move the slowest. Wealthy people avoid this trap. Instead of announcing intentions, they quietly ask, "What system makes this inevitable? What behavior happens even on my worst days? What default action runs without motivation?" They don't rely on discipline. They eliminate the need for it. Automatic investing, fixed savings rates, pre-committed decisions, friction against bad habits. So while others are hyped about starting soon, they're already 10 reps deep into a boring process that compounds whether they're excited or not. Talking is for motivation. Systems are for results. And real wealth is built when nobody's watching, including your friends. And once your life runs on systems instead of emotion, uncertainty stops feeling scary. Which brings us to the next signal. Why wealthy people stay calm when everything feels unstable. Wealth signal number 7. They're calm around uncertainty because they've already prepared for it. Let's be honest. Most people don't fear uncertainty. They fear exposure. They fear that one surprise will reveal how thin their situation actually is. Because when your entire financial life depends on one paycheck, one employer, one market staying up, one plan going perfectly, uncertainty doesn't feel abstract. It feels personal. So when the market dips, people spiral. When layoffs hit the news, people doom scroll. When expenses rise, people complain. Not because they're dramatic, but because they're fragile. Now contrast that with quietly wealthy people. They don't flinch. Not because they're optimistic, but because they already assumed things would break. Here's the uncomfortable difference. Poor planning needs hope. Wealth needs redundancy. Wealthy people expect volatility. They assume income will fluctuate. They assume plans will fail. So they build buffers that make panic unnecessary. Cash that buys time, assets that produce income without permission, skills that travel when jobs don't, expenses low enough to shrink without pain. They don't say everything will be fine. They say, if it's not, we switch plans. That's why uncertainty barely registers emotionally, because fear comes from dependence, and dependence is exactly what wealth is designed to remove. Here's the part no one wants to hear. If uncertainty ruins your mood, you're overexposed. If bad news makes you angry at the system, your margin is too thin. If one unexpected expense can derail your month, you're not unlucky. You're underprepared. Calm isn't a personality trait. It's a financial side effect. And once you eliminate the need for everything to go right, chaos stops feeling like a threat. It just feels like another scenario you already accounted for. And when money no longer feels existential, you stop arguing about it. Because nothing worth fighting over controls your survival anymore. Signal number 8. They don't argue about money. They redesign the situation. Here's something you'll notice if you pay attention. Quietly wealthy people almost never debate money emotionally, argue about prices, fight over small costs, obsess over who paid what. Not because they don't care, but because arguing is inefficient. People without money argue because every dollar feels personal. Scarcity amplifies emotion. Control feels limited. Wealthy people step back and ask, why is this even a problem? Instead of fighting over costs, they change providers, change structures, change systems, or remove the issue entirely. Example, someone complains, everything is so expensive now. Wealthy response, how do we reduce exposure to rising costs? Different game, different mindset. Instagram shows money as drama. Wealth treats money as design. Arguing is emotional labor. Designing systems is leverage, and leverage always wins. Now we're getting close to the core, because the next signal explains why wealthy people always seem to have options, while everyone else feels trapped. Wealth signal number 9. They optimize for optionality, not maximum income. This is where most people get the game completely wrong. They think wealth is about making more money, so they chase the higher salary, the promotion with golden handcuffs, the job that pays well but owns them, the lifestyle that requires the paycheck to keep coming, and they call it success. But quietly, wealthy people see something most people don't. High income without options is just a prettier prison. Let's be blunt. If you can't leave your job for 6 months without panic, if you can't say no to a bad deal, if you can't slow down when life demands it, you don't have freedom. You have dependency. Wealthy people don't obsess over how much can I make this year? They obsess over how many exits do I have? What happens if this income disappears? How fast can I change direction without damage? That's optionality. Optionality means you negotiate from strength. You wait instead of rush. You walk away instead of compromise. You choose peace over ego. Here's the part nobody likes hearing. Most people choose higher income at the cost of flexibility. They upgrade the car, upgrade the house, upgrade the lifestyle, and now they must keep earning at that level, or everything collapses. Quiet wealth does the opposite. They keep expenses low on purpose. They diversify income on purpose. They avoid irreversible commitments on purpose, not because they're scared, but because they value control more than applause. Instagram celebrates people who made it. Wealth celebrates people who can leave it all behind tomorrow, calmly. And once you experience optionality, you stop chasing money that comes with strings attached. Because freedom isn't about how much you earn. It's about how little you're forced to tolerate. And when you build enough optionality, there's one final power that emerges. The ability to walk away. Without fear, without drama, without asking permission. That's the final signal. Wealth signal number 10. They can walk away without fear. Let's strip the fantasy away. Wealth isn't cars. It isn't houses. It isn't watches. Wealth is the ability to walk away without fear. From a job that disrespects you. From a deal that doesn't make sense. From a relationship that drains you. From a situation that no longer serves you. Most people can't. Not because they're weak, but because they're financially cornered. When one paycheck controls your survival, you tolerate things you shouldn't. You stay quiet when you should speak up. You say yes when you mean no. You accept stress as normal. That's not adulthood. That's dependence. Quietly wealthy people live differently. They don't threaten to leave. They don't negotiate emotionally. They don't posture. They already know they can walk. And that knowledge changes everything. It changes how they speak. It changes what they tolerate. It changes how much power anyone else has over them. Here's the part most people never realize. You don't need to actually walk away. You just need to be able to. The moment you remove fear from the equation, every interaction shifts. Your boss senses it, your clients sense it, your environment senses it, because leverage is felt, not announced. Instagram will never show this. There's nothing flashy about calm independence, but it's the most expensive luxury there is. And it's built quietly, month by month, system by system, decision by decision, until one day, you realize you don't need permission anymore. And that's when you're truly rich. And once you understand this, you stop chasing what looks rich and start building what is rich, quietly. So let's recap what real wealth actually looks like. Calm instead of rush. Boundaries without explanation. Indifference to status symbols. Delayed gratification. Boring purchases that compound. Systems over goals. Calm around uncertainty. Design over argument. Optionality over income. The power to walk away. None of this shows up on Instagram. And that's the point. If you've been feeling behind, confused, or like something about money culture feels fake, you're not crazy. You were just watching the wrong signals. Stop copying what looks rich. Start building what is rich, quietly. And comment the words quiet wealth if you're done chasing appearances and ready to build something real. And if this video hit you a little too hard, the next one goes even deeper. Because next, we're breaking down why people who look rich are usually the most financially fragile. That one exposes everything. Just click the video on the screen, and we'll see you there.